Research is showing the rainy season in winter rainfall regions is starting later in the year than it used to. But further research still needs to be done to determine whether this can be attributed to climate change. So what could the reason be for winter rains starting later in the year? Well, Wyrith Abrams is a researcher at the University of Cape Town's Climate Systems Analysis Group. He joins me now from our Cape Town studios. Good evening, Wyrith. Thanks very much for your time. Yes, I mean, your group acknowledges that there's still more work to be done to actually determine whether in absolute terms you can say what you think the evidence you have currently points to. But are you able to at least start taking us through what you believe is one new evidence and where you think it is pointing us to?
Okay, so with regards to the findings of this study, I think what is important here is that we're actually providing evidence of what has been experienced on the ground, particularly by the farmers within the winter rainfall region of the Western Cape. Because obviously with the grain farmers, they've been experiencing, essentially the rainy season is actually their growing season. So they've actually been experiencing changes in their yields associated with the more often or the more frequent shorter rainy seasons that we've been experiencing in the historical in the historical data that we've been observed. With regards to, we obviously, as you have mentioned, we don't know for sure what, we need to do further studies to actually determine what the causes of these trends are. But there are other studies, previous studies, that also kind of suggested the possible future that might be warmer and drier for the region. So I personally think that perhaps these kinds of changes where we're finding in the historical, in the recent years, shifts towards or more frequent years with shorter rainy seasons associated with the later starts to the rainy season, this could possibly be an idea of the type of changes we can expect if we were to move into a possible future where we can expect drier or warmer conditions. So yeah.
Now, tell me why, what I'm trying to understand, perhaps in a very plain and simple language, is why would it matter that the rainy season starts later than it used to? How does that affect the crops and everything that comes with that?
Okay. So with regards to agriculture within the region, particularly the grain farmers, they rely on rainfall. Their crops are entirely rain-fed, so they don't practice really irrigation. And so with the changes in the season actually influences the yields that they are able to produce. And also when we're experiencing more frequent years that are actually having shorter rainy seasons, this consequently means that we are also having longer dry seasons. And typically the drier seasons are the peak consumption periods within the year. So these also have implications when it comes to water resource management and the availability of water supplies to meet demands. So, yeah, I suppose these are the type of things that we can associate. And I think what's also important with this particular study is that we intended to kind of stimulate thinking and conversations around the issue, and also to kind of bring forth some of these critical questions and information that is, I think, would be relevant when it comes to planning or decision-making with regards to food and water security. So, yeah, I think what this also brings forth is a lot of questions that needs to be answered for effective decision making, essentially, as well.
Okay. Now, apart from the rainy season, what else has this research thrown out that is of particular interest to researchers like you?
Okay. So for me particularly, that I found quite interesting was with regards to the changes that we found in the seasons. We also found changes with regards to the amount of rainfall that would occur in the seasons, and how frequent the rainfall events would happen within these seasons, and these associations of changes associated with the trends. And what we did find, although it's at low statistical significance and with low changes, we did find changes in the rainfall amount that were increasing with time, and then changes in the number of rain days that would, the amount of rainfall was actually increasing, and the number of rainy days were, the amount of rainfall was decreasing, and the amount of rain days were increasing. Which is the opposite to what you would expect. And to me, this actually means that if this is actually happening, particularly we found this in the mountainous region, if these type of things are actually happening, and it actually means that we're experiencing more frequent light rainfall events than what we did before, associated with these shorter rainy seasons. And this kind of also has implications with regards to what I think is that this would have implications with regards to the dam levels as well, because essentially, apart from the dams relying on direct rainfall, they also continuously fed by streams or the rivers within the regions. And if we're experiencing more frequent light rainfall events, then this would essentially mean that within the rainy seasons, where there are streams that are what we call seasonal stream flows that rely on the rainfall within the seasons, these kind of streams would then start as well later, so they would flow less frequently. And also where we have perennial rivers, so rivers that will flow throughout the year, there's a potential that these type of rivers would then become seasonal rivers. And essentially what that would mean is that the contribution towards the dams would then be less than what it was before.
Yes.
But also, but these are obviously, these are the type of things that we need to actually find out as well and provide evidence for.
Wairith, thank you very much for your time and your insights. He's a researcher at the University of Cape Town's Climate Systems Analysis Group.